2 Kings 11. Queen Athaliah of Judah. As soon as Athaliah heard that her son King Ahaziah was dead, she decided to kill any relative who could possibly become king. She would have done that, but Jehoshaphat rescued Joash, son of Ahaziah, just as he was about to be murdered. Jehoshaphat, who was Joram's daughter and Ahaziah's half-sister, hid her nephew Joash and his personal servant in a bedroom in the Lord's temple, where he was safe from Athaliah. Joash hid in the temple with Jehoshaphat for 6 years while Athaliah ruled as queen of Judah. Jehoiada makes Joash king of Judah. Joash, son of Ahaziah, had hidden in the Lord's temple 6 years. Then in the 7th year, Jehoiada, the priest, sent for commanders of the king's special bodyguard and the commanders of the palace guard. They met him at the temple, and he asked them to make a promise in the name of the Lord. Then he brought out Joash and said to them, "Here's what I want you to do. 3 of your guard units will be on duty on the Sabbath. I want 1 unit to guard the palace. Another unit will guard the gate, and the 3rd unit will guard the palace gate and relieve the palace guard. The other 2 guard units are supposed to be off duty on the Sabbath, but I want both of them to stay here at the temple and protect King Joash. Make sure they follow him wherever he goes, and tell them to keep their sword ready to kill anyone who tries to get near him." The commanders followed Jehoiada's orders. Each one called together his guards, those coming on duty and those going off duty. Jehoiada brought out the sword and shield that had belonged to King David and gave them to the commanders. Then they gave the weapons to their guards, who took their positions around the temple and the altar to protect Joash on every side. Jehoiada brought Joash outside, where he placed the crown on his head and gave him a copy of instructions for ruling the nation. Olive oil was poured on his head to show that he was now king, while the crowds clapped and shouted, "Long live the king!" Queen Athaliah heard the crowd and went to the temple. There she saw Joash standing by one of the columns, which was the usual place for the king. The singers and trumpet players were standing next to him, and the people were celebrating and blowing trumpets. Atalia tore her clothes in anger and shouted, "You betrayed me, you traitors!" At once, Jehoiada said to the army commanders, "Kill her, but don't do it anywhere near the Lord's temple. Take her out in front of the troops and kill anyone who is with her." So the commanders dragged her to the gate, where horses are led into the palace, and they killed her there. Jehoiada and the priest asked King Joash and the people to promise that they would be faithful to each other and to the Lord. Then the crowd went to the temple built to honor Baal and tore it down. They smashed the altars and idols and killed Matan, the priest of Baal, right in front of the altars. After Jehoiada had placed guards around the Lord temple, he called together all the commanders, the king's special bodyguards, the palace guards, and the people. They led Joash from the temple through the guards' gate and into the palace. He took his place on the throne and became king of Judah. Everyone celebrated because Athaliah had killed and Jerusalem was peaceful again. Joash was only 7 years old when this happened. King Joash of Judah. Joash became king of Judah in Jehu's 7th year as king of Israel, and he ruled 40 years from Jerusalem. His mother Zibiash was from the town of Beersheba. Jehoiada the priest thought Joash was what was right, and so for the rest of his life Joash obeyed the Lord. But even Joash did not destroy the local shrines, and they were still used as palace for offering sacrifices. One day Joash said to the priest, "Collect all the money that has been given to the Lord temple, whether from taxes or gifts, and use it to repair the temple whenever you see the need." But the priests never started repairing the temple. So in the 23rd years of his rule, Joash called the Jehoiada and the other priests and said, "Why aren't you using the money to repair the temple? Don't take any more money for yourselves. It is only to be used to pay for the repairs." The priests agreed that they would not collect any more money or be in charge of the temple repairs. Jehoiada found the wooden box. He cut a hole in the top of it and set it on the right side of the altar where people went into the temple. Whenever someone gave money to the temple, the priest guarding the entrance would put it into this box. When the box was full of money, the king's secretary and the cheapest priest would count the money and put it in bags. Then they would give it to the man supervising the repair to the temple. Some of the money was used to pay the builders, the woodworkers, the stonecutters, and the man who built the walls. And some was used to buy wood and stone and to pay any other cost for repairing the temple. While the repairs were being made, the money that was given to the temple was not used to make silver bowls, lamp snuffers, small sprinkle bowls, trumpets, or anything gold or silver for the temple. It went only to pay for repairs. The men in charge were honest, so no one had to keep track of the money. The fines that had to be paid along with the sacrifices to make things right, and the sacrifices for sin did not go to the temple. This money belonged only to the priest. About the same time, the king Hazael of Syria attacked the town of Gath and captured it. Next, he decided to attack Jerusalem. So Joash collected everything he and his ancestors Jehoshaphat, Jehoram, and Ahaziah had decided to the Lord, as well as the gold in the storage room in the temple and palace. He sent it all to Hazael as a gift, and when Hazael received it, he ordered his troops to leave Jerusalem. Everything else Joash did while he was king is written in the history of the king of Judah. At the end of his rule, some of his officers rebelled against him. Jojabad, son of Shimeth, and Jehojabad, son of Shomer, murdered him in the building where the land was filled in the east side of Jerusalem, near the road to Silla. Joash was buried beside his ancestors in Jerusalem, and his son Amaziah became king. King Jehoahaz of Israel, Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, became king of Israel in the 23rd years of Joash's rule in Judah. Jehoahaz ruled 70 years from Samaria and disobeyed the Lord by doing wrong. He never stopped following the example of Jeroboam, who had caused the Israelites to sin. The Lord was angry with the Israelites, so he let King Hazael of Syria and his son Hadad ruled over them for a long time. Jehoahaz prayed the Lord for help, and the Lord saw how terribly Hazael was treating the Israelites. He answered Jehoahaz by sending Israel a leader who rescued them from the Syria. And the Israelites lived in peace as they had before. But Hazael had defeated Israel's army so badly that Jehoahaz had only 10 chariots, 50 cavalry troops, and 10,000 regular soldiers left in his army. The Israelites kept sinning and following the example of Jeroboam's family. They did not tear down the sacred poles that had been set up in Samaria for the worship of the goddess Asherah. Everything else Jehoahaz did while he was king, including his brave deeds, is written in the history of the king of Israel. Jehoahaz died and was buried in Samaria, and his son Jehoash became king. King Jehoash of Israel. Jehoash became king of Israel in the 37 years of Joash's rule in Judah, and he ruled 16 years from Samaria. He disobeyed the Lord by doing just like Jeroboam, who had caused the Israelites to sin. Everything else Jehoash did while he was king, including his war against the king Amaziah of Judah, is written in the history of the kings of Israel. Jehoash died and was buried in Samaria beside the other Israel kings. His son Jeroboam then became king. Elisha the prophet dies. Some time before the death of King Jehoash, Elisha the prophet was very sick and about to die. Jehoash went in and stood beside him crying. He said, "Master, what will Israel's chariots and cavalry be able to do without you? Grab a bow and some arrows." Elisha told him and told them in your hand. Jehoash grabbed the bow and arrow and held them. Elisha placed his hand on the king's hand and sat open the window facing east. When it was open, Elisha shouted, "Now shoot." Jehoash shot an arrow, and Elisha said, "The arrow is a sign that the Lord will help you completely defeat the Syrian army at Aphek." Elisha said, "Pick up the arrow and hit the ground with them." Jehoash grabbed the arrow and hit the ground 3 times, then stopped. Elisha became angry with the king and explained, "If we had struck it 5 or 6 times, you'd completely wiped out the Syrians. Now you will defeat them only 3 times. Elisha died and was buried. Every year in the spring, Moab's leaders sent raiding parties into Israel. Once, while some Israelites were burying a man's body, they saw a group of Moabites. The Israelites quickly threw the body into Elisha's tomb and ran away. As soon as the man's body touched the bones of Elisha, the man came back to life and stood up. Elisha defeated Syria. Israel was under the power of King Hazael of Syria during the entire rule of Jehoahaz. But the Lord was kind to Israel and showed them mercy because of his solemn agreement with their ancestor Abraham Isaac and Jacob. In fact, he has never turned his back on them or let them be completely destroyed. Hazael died, and his son Ben-Hadad then became king of Syria. King Jehoash of Israel attacked and defeated the Syrian army 3 times. He took back from Ben-Hadad all the towns Hazael had captured in battle from his father Jehoahaz.